So last video, we talked about the favorites to win the tournament, the United States, Mexico, and Jamaica. But now let's talk about the contenders, the teams to watch out for, and that definitely have what it takes to go all the way, which are Canada, Honduras, and Costa Rica. Combined with the teams we talked about in the last video, I think all of them make up the strongest team in CONCACAF and can be considered the Big Six of CONCACAF, if you will. Now let's take a look at each, just like we did in the last video, which if you've not been able to see, please go ahead and check that out first and then come back here. All right, so first up is Canada, a team which has been on the rise for a while now and just seems to be getting better and better. With strong young players who are doing well in Europe, like Lille's Jonathan David, who was instrumental to the team's title-winning season with 13 goals and 2 assists. And of course, Alphonso Davies, one of the best left backs in the world with Bayern Munich, where he's already won pretty much everything there is to win under the sun. But apart from them, they do have several strong players as well, with Kyle Larin, who plays in Turkey, Stefan Estacio, who plays in Portugal, Jonathan Osorio, Mark Anthony Kay, both play in MLS, and they also have some promising youngsters like Tajon Buchanan, who can also play as a winger or wingback. He currently plays for New England Revolution in MLS, who performed well in Olympic qualifying, even though they did lose to Mexico in the semifinal. Canada also has some interesting dual national options like Ayo Akinola and the big one, Fikayo Tomori. Akinola would add some bite to the striker depth, but Tomori would add some much needed experience and stability to their back line. There is no indication of either choosing to represent Canada in the immediate future. One second. Nope, it seems Akinola did just recently commit to Canada, so there's that. And in fact, he looks like he's in the final roster that just dropped, and Tomori and Jonathan David are not in it, which kind of sucks for Canada. But even then, Canada seems to have an overall strong team, definitely the strongest it's ever been, even though it is missing one of their key players. But apart from that, they are taking a full-strength squad, which will give them an edge in this tournament. Now, Canada is in Group B, as discussed in the previous video, with the United States and Martinique, and will also most likely include Haiti. So definitely not an easy group to be in, but I think Canada has more than enough quality to make it out. They do play against Martinique first, which will be a challenge for them. Martinique definitely can score goals, and Canada's biggest weakness is their back line. So that can lead to some big opportunities for their opponents. But I think Canada can get by with a win or at least a draw here. Next match would be against Haiti, which Canada should definitely be able to beat and definitely will need to in order to secure a spot in the knockout round, because their third and final match would be against the United States. Although the United States will have a weakened squad, they still have enough quality there to match Canada, and so Canada could draw this one as well, but they could also win it. But even if they were to lose, I think a draw and a win in their previous 2 matches should be enough for that second spot. But hey, they could definitely start off strong and get 2 wins and then draw or even win against the United States to top their group. It's definitely possible for this strong Canadian team. And of course, depending on where they finish in the group, they could face either Jamaica or Costa Rica. Now, if they finish second, that would most likely be Jamaica, which would be an incredibly difficult match for them, but a great one to watch for neutrals. Finishing top of the group would give them the easier Costa Rica, or even potentially Suriname if they surprise everyone, but we'll talk about them next video. But let's say they face off against Costa Rica. Still, not an easy team by any means, as we will discuss later, but I think Canada do have enough to squeeze by them, probably like 2-1. Canada likes to use a 3-5-2, so they could overwhelm the Costa Rican midfield and get the ball to their forwards or to an overlapping Davies. They have a lot of attacking bite and options, so they will be testing Keylor Navas quite a bit. Then in the semis, they will face off against Honduras most likely. Another tough team, as Honduras will have more than enough to eliminate them here. I could see this ending in a draw, but no way it would be 0-0. At least 1-1 or maybe even 2-2. And then I could see Canada going through on penalties. Not sure how good the Canadians are on penalties, but let's just say they do well and manage to make it through. Then the final would be their toughest match yet against with either Mexico, Jamaica, or the United States. Can't say which would be easier for Canada to face, as they each have their own strong motivations to win the tournament. Mexico is trying to make up for the nations they lost, Jamaica will be trying to win its first ever Gold Cup, and the United States will be on home soil. But let's say that they face Jamaica, as I think that would be an amazing final to see. Both teams would be looking for their first Gold Cup win, and it would mean so much to each one. And honestly, I could see it going either way. I could see it going to extra time, and then for Davies or even Buchanan, who would no doubt already be subbed in by that point, and see either of them score the winner in extra time would be insane. And would be an incredible way to end the tournament and an incredible achievement for this Canadian team that is on the rise. Now let's take a look at Honduras. Now they could be looking at a weakened squad as well, as they did qualify for the Olympics, to every American's dismay. So any promising youngsters like Edwin Rodriguez will be at the Olympics instead, plus any of the overage players they decide to send. So if they send some of their best, like Brian Acosta, Anthony Lozano, and Albert Ellis, then we could be looking at a severely weakened Honduras team that will struggle to go far in the tournament. But for argument's sake, let's say they keep their best overage players here. Now we could see them become true challengers. They will no doubt top their group, which is Group D. Then their first real test will be in the quarterfinal against Curacao or maybe El Salvador. I have a feeling it will be against Curacao. Now, they are no joke, but they did lose to Panama this month, and if they can't lose to Panama, they definitely can't lose to a strong Honduras team. I say Honduras wins 3-1 or maybe 3-2 if Curacao managed to put up a fight. In the semifinal, they would face off against either Costa Rica or either the United States or Canada, depending on which finishes top of their group. Either one will be a tough challenge for Honduras, but they have the quality to beat all of them. They already beat Costa Rica for the third place in the Nations League, even if it was on penalties. They barely lost to the United States in Nations League. Now, against a severely weakened United States team, I could definitely see Honduras moving past them. And against Canada, as stated before, I could see it going to penalties, which Honduras has proven to be quite good at. So let's say, in this case, Honduras make it past them also. Now, the final would be poetic and awesome to see them face off against Mexico yet again. Now, this would be a bit of a grudge match, as Mexico beat them in the final of the Olympic qualifying tournament, which in all honesty, Mexico was lucky to win. That penalty call was highly suspect. But I'm sure the officials were in no way biased towards Mexico while playing in Mexico. So this would be a heated game and a fiercely contested one. But I could definitely see Honduras winning it 2-1 or it ending 2-2, only for Honduras to then win on penalties, which would be poetic justice indeed. I mean, come on. They were super unlucky against the United States, and Mexico was super lucky against them. So it would be nice to see Honduras finally get a much-deserved win here. Now we get to Costa Rica. Now, while they are not as strong as they once were, they are still a team to be reckoned with. And with their star goalkeeper, Keylor Navas, one of the best CONCACAF players of all time, be sure to check out that video too, by the way. While they may struggle to score goals, they certainly do a good job of keeping them out, forcing their opponent to go to penalties in their last two competitive games. And that was without their main goalkeeper. So they have a solid option there as well. Going forward, they have experienced veterans, but old age is catching up to them, and that seems to be Costa Rica's biggest problem. I mean, their main striker, Joel Campbell, is 29 and currently plays in Liga MX with Club Leon, and their captain, Brian Reese, is 35 and plays in their domestic league. But they do have some up-and-coming young talent as well, with young striker Jurgens Montenegro at just 20 years old, but scored 13 goals this season in their domestic league. So they have some attacking options to hit opponents on the counter with. But now really, what are their chances in the Gold Cup? Well, pretty slim to be honest, but they definitely have the potential to be dark horses and giant killers this tournament. They are in Group C along with Jamaica, Suriname, and, per my personal supercomputer, Guatemala. They will face Guatemala first, which is good for them as they need to start off the group stage with a win and get all 3 points. Next, the next two matches will be difficult with Suriname up first and then Jamaica finishing. Now, Suriname is no slouch and could easily beat Costa Rica to that second place spot, but I'm confident that Costa Rica can get at least a point from that game, if not all three, which they will need because against Jamaica, they will have to do their utmost to keep them at bay and try to finish 0-0, and I think Jamaica will probably be able to break through and win maybe 1-0. But that should still be enough to earn that second place and a spot in the quarterfinal, which would be against whoever finishes in that top spot between the United States and Canada. Either one will be tough, but let's say it's the United States. The last two times they have met, the US has won, but those were friendlies. This most certainly will not be a friendly. And Costa Rica will fight to the death, and I could see them easily keeping a weakened US squad at bay, as the US team will struggle to create goals themselves. It could end in a draw and then to penalties, which, let's say, Costa Rica are able to see through. Now, Costa Rica eliminating the United States in the quarterfinal would make some waves for the US 17, especially if Berhalter put players like Roldan, Acosta, Areola, and Leggett in the starting lineup, which is very likely. It may put pressure on him to think twice about those players for World Cup qualifiers. But we'll see. Then they play against Mexico most likely, which would be their toughest game yet. But again, they were able to take Mexico to penalties in the Nations League, so they could very easily do so again, especially with Mexico having a weakened squad because of the Olympics. So Costa Rica could be able to win on penalties here this time. And then for the final, it could be against either Jamaica or Canada, depending on who wins between them in the quarterfinal. Either one would be tough, but I think with growing confidence from knocking out the United States and Mexico, they could put in a performance of a lifetime that, and with some luck and calls going their way, they could come out on top. What a thing that would be. It would be their first Gold Cup win since the 80s and would definitely cement their place as the best team from Central America and also give Navas his first and possibly only trophy with the national team, which would be nice. So that's how each of these three teams could win it this year's Gold Cup. But now, do you think any of them could actually do it? If so, let me know down below. Thanks for watching. This is American Soccer United, the place where American soccer fans unite.